speeding up your computer, myths and what's real. We're starting to have, not starting, we've had a patch of customers talk about what install the operating system on my computer, give me a reset, it's going to speed it up. And it's not to say it won't. If there was corruption in your operating system, if it's inundated, if you don't need the files and it's crowded, especially on a Mac, if you have desktop folders and files that are all over the place in the whole desktop, then if you reinstall your operating system, it will speed it up because the load time is going to be much faster. But generically, reinstalling the operating system is not going to speed up your computer. I just got off the phone with a customer and made her understand that it's really not about the operating system itself that's going to speed it up. What does speed it up is if it's still an older computer, say if it's 5, 6 years old, and it's still rocking the mechanical hard drive like this guy, then putting in a solid state drive, it's going to usually about 8 times speed it up in terms of the read write speed. That's going to speed it up right away. Now, when we talk about RAM upgrades, that is also possible other myth that will speed up a computer. Again, going back to maybe 10 years ago, RAM, if you went from 4 GB to 8 GB, that a lot of times would help you get through a Windows XP to Windows 8, Windows 7 upgrade, right? That'll help you get minimum requirements. That'll also let you work from, say, like a Word document, internet, a page, I'd say like a PDF on another window. So basically different windows, you can have your RAM work back and forth for you. So that's also another way that RAM was great and is great. If you're going from a custom PC that has maybe 16 gigs and you go to 128 gigs of RAM, that's a sizable speed increase. That's going to help you process pages back and forth and have that sort of multi-processor type of speed and upgrade. So that's great. But if you're on a laptop and you're going from 4 gigs to 8 gigs, it sounds like it's going to double your speed, but not really. What's more going to help you is going to be that SSD upgrade from the mechanical. That's going to help you out. Another speed upgrade is going to be if your SSD is failing, obviously replacing that's going to help speed it up. Other speed myths that we've seen is a newer MacBook being able to upgrade the hard drive on that. And if it's a MacBook that's not, whether it's an Air or if it's an integrated type of board where the board has an SSD on there, sadly, you have to replace the whole logic board. So you can't. Can we do it like our guys? Yes. They could literally take the drive, desolder, resolder a new one, maybe like a higher storage one that's going to make a bigger capacity. Now, in terms of speed, that's only going to help if it was crowded in the first place. And then if you go from like a 256 for a 512 gig, that's going to help. However, the myth on that is on the newer Macs, I'm not saying that somebody out there cannot actually work with the drives. We're not going to, because with Apple's new serialization, it's tough to beat Apple at its own game in terms of updating the drive. So we could do it, but we don't want to mess with their serialization and brick a MacBook. So the myth on that is being able to replace a drive on like these logic boards. It's very tough to be able to have that serialization component at the end where it actually recognizes a new drive, right? So we wouldn't do that. If your drive is failing, if your SSD is failing on one of these all-in-one types of logic boards on a MacBook, then you have to replace the whole board. And then when you replace the whole board, if the old board was failing, the new board is going to be in turn faster, not so much faster, but more stable, which will look like it is faster, and speed's going to be really just all right. So the takeaway here is RAM upgrades are not necessarily speeding up your computer, and hard drive replacements are not necessarily freeing up your computer as well. If you're going from an SSD to an SSD and your old SSD was good, then maybe your computer's not up to snuff for you anymore. Maybe the board is failing, the motherboard, or maybe you just have a lot of programs or, requests of your computer that you didn't have when you initially had it, that it's not going to be able to handle the speed that you're looking for. And that being said too, hard drives, it's not just replacing RAM. It's not just about upgrading, and, be aware of computers, which is a good thing because it's newer, but beware of computers on MacBooks that if it's a full motherboard that you have that already has like the integrated drive itself, those are not necessarily upgradable as much as you'd like. So I hope you've learned something. I hope you realize that speed is not just a quick RAM upgrade, and or an operating system install as you might think. It might help, but not always. Any questions, any recommendations, any tips, feel free to answer this. And yeah, till next time, take care.